Good morning. Very good. Thank
Good,
you.
yeah, good morning to you. How are you?
Very good. Let me just turn my volume up a little bit. Thank you for the invitation to talk today.
You're most welcome. And as you know that we are all in a kind of a similar situation around the world where everyone is in lockdown, things are changing so fast, and everyone is trying to cope with the situation in their own way. So as we discussed, Tricia, I mean, just trying to understand how are you? We want to understand, how you are coping with this situation personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And how's the situation in New York? That was also how's the situation in New York?
In New York, and I have to say thank you to so many people for reaching out to check and see, how we're doing, the team in New York and how I'm doing. That outpouring has been amazing. Certainly the information that you're seeing on the news of the crowded hospitals, our lockdown that we've had here in New York City is really something unprecedented. I mean, I never would have thought that we would be in this type of a situation. For me personally, I live outside of New York City, so I'm in New Jersey. It's a suburb, so it's a little bit easier for me than for people who live right in New York City, because I have a chance to at least walk around. The retail stores are closed. They're closed. Most of them announced they were closed until April 3rd, but yesterday, the extension of the social distancing is until the end of April, till April 30th. So I'm pretty sure that will mean an extension of the store closures. For me, where I live, it's only grocery stores that are open, drugstores. You can still go out of your house. So like this morning, I go out for a walk to just get fresh air, but no social gatherings, no other stores are open. Restaurants are open only for takeout. So there's no gatherings in any restaurants. And, there's just an overall sense of people coming together, a general kindness that people are exhibiting now as we look at ways to get through this together. So definitely
So
did
this,
not expect this a month ago that we would be in this type of a situation. I was in Munich the beginning of February as some of this was starting to happen, and thought, oh, that's just going to stay in China. And maybe, it's the regular flu that people get. But we realize this is much more serious than that.
definitely much more serious. And I really hope that within 1 month, let's say in 2 months, we are able to get over the situation. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
How are you like as a professionally in terms of as a company, and how do you find the situation?
Yeah.
How are you facing the situation?
Well, I'd say from a professional standpoint, lensing is because we have production facilities, and we do have a facility here in the United States in Mobile, Alabama, which is still running. All of our factories are still running. Even our factories in Europe are still running. And so I think overall, the company had done a lot on crisis management and what we needed to do. So we had different plans, even for the New York office. We have 6 people in the New York office, but we had already started to plan, different scenarios of how we would handle it. And then it was a little over 2 weeks ago that we switched into working from home. So from that physical part, it was all about the safety of us, and to make sure that our families are also safe during this time. I think from a business perspective, we've sort of seen this change. First you do go into crisis mode. And then, of course, we went through talking with partners, what they were doing. Definitely a lot of cancellations that were happening with orders, this as retail stores closed. And in the past 2 weeks, we've also been very busy soliciting and dealing with questions that the market has around how to connect for gowns and masks. So, reaching out to the supply chain, and many of them are also coming to us. What can we do? Our fibers are used in different non-woven applications, not necessarily for masks, but for other non-woven applications. And what could be done for some of the gowns, and how we could help with the medical protective wear that's needed now. And this is happening also in Europe because everyone's looking now within their region on how they can source these products. So I would say
Yes.
on a day-to-day, we've switched into that. And now I would say we see this time where people want to connect and talk and how is everyone coping, reaching out. Many of us are also getting ready for 2024 and collaborating on the community. So the community, the denim community still wants to connect and figure out how we can support each other.
Sorry, bit of a mess up out there.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, after looking at all the kind of cancellations that we are looking at in terms of after the stores are closing and there are a lot of cancellations coming up, how is the supply chain going to be affected by this? I've been speaking to mills, I've been speaking to government manufacturers. Everybody's in a big mess right now.
It's a huge mess right now. And the hardest thing is that no one can plan. There's such an uncertainty about when the stores will reopen, about when orders will start to come through again. I mean, when I talk to customers, and first it was 50% of their orders were canceled, then it's 75, and it's up to 90% or completely canceled. I mean, how does someone run a business this way? I mean, you just can't. I think we all know that there was already an overcapacity of denim in the market. We had much more mill capacity than what was really needed. And also as consumers, we have to look at our consumption factor too. So I see that, this is a chance for us to kind of hit the reset button. And I hope collectively this happens within the industry and other industries too. But, it's a chance also for the retail industry to change some of their ways. Do we need to have so much inventory coming into the stores? In the United States, we have this terrible way of promotion all the time. Do you need to have 60% off in order to sell it because you've just trained the customer that way? I mean, I wish that the U.S. retailers operated more like some of the European retailers, and you only have sales twice a year, and that's it. And stop all. Start fresh in some ways. It's a reflection time that we can then reorganize and react the right way that we need to build a stronger market. So, how they say this is kind of the time of survival of the fittest. I really believe that we have this chance now that we have to take it in order to change.
So, I mean, if you look at one perspective that even after recovery of this, if we come out of this crisis, even after that, the kind of volumes, the kind of business that we see in the industry is definitely going to be affected even after the complete recovery from this crisis. Do you think so?
Yeah, I mean, I think after this, we are going to lose companies. Of course, we've already seen some of the smaller LA companies. There's a lot of rumors in the market about some mergers that might be happening. There's even information. I mean, these are articles that are out there around how much longer certain department stores can continue. So I think we will see this kind of shakeout of some of the brands because it's too much. But I think also as consumers take this time to retreat and they're not shopping, you start to say to yourself, do I need that many clothes? Do I really need to keep buying new things? So what will be the mentality of the consumer coming out of this? What does post-pandemic, what's the mood like then? And, do we need to have, all of this, all new clothes every week? And, we were already starting to see a decline in fast fashion. So what will that mean for fast fashion going forward? And I think now we reach a time where we kind of also have our own definition for conscious living. So sustainability will take on, you know, a different meaning, because we've all gone back to basics. You know, freedoms that we had around going out to restaurants or grocery stores always stocked, and, you know, kind of all of these experiences all the time that we have. And now we've cut ourselves off from that completely. So I think we will have this, you know, this time to reevaluate and look for clothing will become more of a protection. You know, now we look at how we can protect ourselves against getting this virus, right? And so whether that's masks, cleaning products, but also now we look at how our apparel protects us and keeps us safe. And so this is also a big mindset change.
So because the most likely situation, what we see from the reports is that this virus is not going to go away completely. At certain point of time, it is going to remain, and we have to continue living our, so, you know, we have to adjust our living ways, you know, in a more safe way. As you said, the apparel has to be more protective, and we have to improve our habits in terms of sanitation and other things, so that we have to coexist with the virus. I mean, I think we're reaching a situation, we might reach a situation we have to coexist with the virus. I mean, we can't wish it away. It may not be wished away, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and what do you see then in India? I mean, you have a population of 1.3 billion people, and, you know, your healthcare system isn't the same as what we have in the West. How do you think that's going to play out in India?
Um, let's see, I mean, how it goes, because till you know, our government had started taking some actions almost 1.5 months back in terms of restricting the visitors from outside, and we are under a lockdown for last 1 week. Another 2 weeks is a complete lockdown, which is it's a complete lockdown. It's not, it's something like China, what China had done, complete lockdown. And the movement of people has been restricted. Of course, there are a huge number of poor people, and the government needs to take care of them, because if the jobs are not, they are not able to work, then how they will eat? You know, I mean, that's a big question, of course. But I mean, the strategy which the government is working is that we have to restrict the number of cases somehow, so that the healthcare system is not stretched. So whatever healthcare, you know, I mean, that's the strategy the government is working with now. Until now, we have actually not so many cases. So fortunately, if that works out, where we are able to restrict the number of cases, then probably India should go through.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
about countries who don't necessarily have the food supply chains, you know, that we have here. I know that there's pictures online about shortages and long lines at the grocery stores. I mean, I know that that exists within certain communities, but, you know, for the most part, you just don't have 20 varieties of juices and you deal with, you know, 5. Again, you know, there had been such an excess that we didn't need across many areas of our lives.
That's true. So, I mean, in every aspect of our life, in terms of the products we consume, I think we are going to look at less quantity and higher quality. Do you think that?
Yes, I do think this return to value and also an understanding of the social side. You know, we were starting to engage more of this before everything happened, about, you know, who made our clothes, where are products coming from, and I think that will continue to be questioned, because now we have a greater sense of how we are interconnected in the world. And, you know, this is where it's important that the consumer is going to want to know, you know, who was involved in making this garment, or, you know, if it's food supply chains, where is it really coming from? So I think the transparency and the building of the stories around that transparency will only continue after this, because now there's a heightened awareness. But certainly we have seen that, you know, China as the global factory doesn't work. Even when it's one component of a product that's made in China, that does not help, as we see for medical supplies and, you know, personal protective wear. And this industry, I think, will shift to have regional supply chains in order to meet the demand. There's been some talk in the news too around each American having to wear face masks. That's a huge change for us. It's not common at all in the United States to wear face masks. So, I mean, now we have 330 million people that are going to be buying face masks. And we know that not everyone's going to buy the, disposable ones.
Yeah.
So we'll see some changes there as well.
So maybe the designing our clothes, apparel will be, greatly affected in terms of, as you said, towards making protective clothing. And, you might look at different kind of masks, different kind of other designs coming up which help the people to protect themselves while working.
Yeah. Well, you start to see that already now, the creativeness that's happening. So as we've moved into, this focus on how we can protect ourselves, and as I mentioned earlier, I've spent quite a bit of time in the past few weeks helping the supply chain to find materials that currently exist. And not even if they're tensile, it's not about right now selling a fiber, it's about how we can support. And so if there's yarn available or fabric available and we have those connections, we're trying to make them. But you already start to see some of the innovation in masks. So I had one customer reach out to me that Gerber, using Gerber machines, that you could actually develop a mask and it's like one piece of fabric that then goes behind your ears. And so then you don't have to have the elastic. Or you might have seen too on social media, some of the medical personnel are complaining about wearing the elastic behind their ears and could they somehow attach it to a headband. I think these are the innovations that come out of it. Shimaseki or Santoni also have patterns that you can go from yarn to finished product in producing a mask. I think these are also very interesting innovations. And you see different companies working together. That's where if it's application innovation, that can also happen within this segment of the industry. And many of our denim mill partners are looking at how they can support to provide fabrics for medical applications now.
One more thing one more keyword which is coming out is seasonless. I was talking to my friend Lucia 2 days back, and she was also stressing a lot on this. So, what do you think about, we are going seasonless? Are we going seasonless?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a time for, ultra fashion. I think they've been working in comfortable clothes now for the past 2 weeks. I have to say today I got myself together early so to be ready and wearing my denim. But a lot of times, people are staying in their, workout wear or pajamas all day long with this work from home and the fact that everyone's doing it. So I think there will be this back to basics that's happening. People will be, again, looking for comfort. They'll be looking for fabrics that can protect them, whether it's antimicrobial or antibacterial finishes. So I think there'll be some changes in that. And I do think also knits, because I think there's something about that comfort that you get from the knit side. That could be very interesting, even for the denim market, using indigo knits. And this was a category that was starting to evolve prior to Corona, and I think it will continue. But I see there's a comment here about seasonless also being long lasting, and this goes back to that value in kind of this whole sense of, do I need to keep consuming more?
So if we look at the keywords which are coming out, one is seasonless, one is nearshoring. Nearshoring means, of course, that countries would want that their supply chain should be closer to their countries and or within their countries as far as possible. Any other keywords which you strongly feel? And about sustainability, one thing about sustainability, the way we have been going about sustainability in the last 1-2 years, and of course your company has contributed, made such a huge contribution towards this goal what we are trying to achieve. But how really the sustainability would be affected by this corona thing, in positive way or negative way?
Yeah, I mean, for your trends there, yes, the season lists, I would add to that performance where regional near sourcing, definitely sustainability, socially and environmentally, because I think now the two are going to be tied so closely. And, I think for us, for lensing, we've been working so much around circularity as a part of sustainability too, with our Refibra. And it's interesting because we released our sustainability report right before UN International Forest Day. So that was, I think, the 21st, somewhere around there. And, we've been having some good conversations with customers even during this time, because I think, again, the heightened awareness around sustainability and also a chance to sort of step back and reflect. I also think another key, concept out of this time will be more around collaborations, because we see how we're interconnected when you have the forces behind a common goal, and how you can reach them. So I think our collaborations will only be heightened through all of this too, and that we really need to work together to make these changes. And I'd like to see that maybe all of this forces us to do it all faster, because we were kind of going along and we've been talking about sustainability and who's greenwashing, or now there's also ethic washing that is happening out there. And let's use this as a strong momentum and a real force to make that change.
That's true. I agree with you completely. And globalization probably would be one of the things which probably would go take a back seat. Probably we'll see a reduction in globalization.
Yeah, I think that globalization will probably go a little bit slower, because, as we were saying, more of this regional sourcing. I think we will see also a tightening up of supply chain partners. We had seen this over the years too, of a tighter mill matrix. I think that will definitely continue.
And what do you think are the best positive takeaways from this crisis?
Well, I think that the takeaways that we can have, I mean, I always look at things from a personal side and then how it affects professionally. But I think personally, I think I have a greater strength in my family, being with them. I was a little concerned. It's a lot of time together. And now my kids are both home from school. But actually, I really like them. So I think that's a good thing. I think I was really impressed with how my kids have handled everything. My son is in high school, and so he's online, and my daughter came home from college. So, she's studying fashion, so it's easy for me to help her with some of her projects. But I think, we do have a greater sense of our family. Even my parents, I'm checking in on them more. They don't live near me, so, we have more conversations. I think also from a professional standpoint, then if you look at it, it's how we use digital tools more. Now it's everything through video cameras, and our team meetings are online. How do we need to be traveling so much? I think that will be very interesting to see. And let's face it, we're not flipping a switch and suddenly all hopping on an airplane one day. This is going to take a bit of time for everyone to come back. And so I think we'll reassess this kind of hamster wheel we were on of constantly going. I know for me, it's strange to have no trade shows planned right now, no flights to get on, no physical meetings with customers that I'm showing product. And that's another very strange thing, is because, I'm so used to having garments telling the story and to demonstrate that. And now I have to come up with new ways of getting that across. So I think there'll be some changes to how we work really on a daily basis, and how designers, how their creative process is changed right now too. Because the inspiration no longer comes from, immersing themselves and going to a different location. So we'll see. And it'll be interesting too, what happens to our calendar, our design and development calendar. If we work more regionally, how is that affected as well?
Absolutely. So we are going to definitely go much more digital.
Yeah.
That is
I mean,
probably the new normal.
are you seeing this too on denims and jeans? Are you seeing an increase in your traffic?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are noticing that. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, too, for our Carved in Blue blog, we've seen a huge increase in traffic, and there it's definitely around the stories that have to do around our denim community. So we recently started a series called Next Gen, where we're highlighting some of the under 35, managers and people that are part of the denim industry. And I have to say, it kind of happens organically when we're working with different people, and who we include in our stories. And it's all females so far that we've included in our next gen. So I'm very happy about that, the denim industry and where we're going. So the all in the family stories too. We featured one on artistic fabric mills that had a very good response. And so I think, this is where I find that people want to still connect on the emotional side to our business.
absolutely. Even for our Deep Brands app, which we launched last year. I mean, because it was something which is like, people did not, I mean, they were taking time to understand, how we can digitally present the products and all. Now I think now we are getting much more interest in that. People are asking about it. People want to check it out. So I think probably going digital is the way forward.
Yes, for sure.
So let me ask people who are there. Anybody wants to ask any question to Tricia? I mean, or myself. I mean, anybody. Will definitely Tricia would be happy to answer.
Yes. Yeah, it's nice to see some of the comments come up. I think the Instagram live is also a nice way for people to connect. I know there's also some webinars and Zoom meetings. So there's a podcast that I'm doing this afternoon on American fashion that
Okay.
we have several people together. So these are all great ways now that we can come to connect. We've also found that many of the schools are reaching out to us too, because now that schools have gone online and they're looking to educate. So I have to say, our team in New York, we've been doing quite a bit to outreach schools. I think it's a very challenging time for students that are entering the market. And, when you look at for some of the students, then if they miss out on their graduation, these are tough times. But I think it's important that as a community, we still provide them with information and to educate.
So they're looking for corporate, corporate information and education.
Yeah, and I think and they're always asking questions around sustainability. So last week I did a presentation for St. John's. This week I'm talking to FIT. We're also reaching out to FITM, NC State. These are some of the schools that now they've moved online. I think it also gives the professors a little bit of a break from doing the online lectures the whole time, and any way that you can connect with the industry. And we've also been involved in Transformers Ed. This was done with Ravensbourne, with Mosin and Sadia. They've done a great job with that program, and we will continue to support that lensing. And I think we have a lot to do. This next generation entering the denim industry will face major challenges and this change that we see happening.
Absolutely. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you, Tricia, and to get the perspective, your side of the story, and to get a different perspective from a person living in New York, and how things are shaping up out there, and how you're coping with the situation. And I think all of us will come out with flying colors and innovate in our own ways to deal with the situation. And we need to all get together and fight it out.
We will see each other again soon. We have to stay strong, stay home, stay healthy, keep our minds active. And I think this is how we will get through it. So thank you for this opportunity to talk today. It's always great to see, your guests, and look forward to hearing more from your series that you're doing on Instagram Live. Thanks so much, Sandeep.
Thank you, Tricia. It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Have a good day, everyone. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.